Welcome to 5 at 5, business end of the World Cup. Very tense days coming up for all teams. Today, England versus Pakistan. Shomik Chakraborty reporting from Sri Lanka. 2 days later, South Africa versus West Indies, which is as important a game as any for India. And thereafter, India versus Zimbabwe in Chennai on the 26th evening. Let me cut across to Shomik first, get some updates on the England Pakistan game. Shomik, weather, will it again play spoil sport? What's the weather update? Seems sunny behind you, so weather should not be a problem, at least at this point. What are you getting from the Pakistan camp? England, they've already won one. If they win this one, they can seal the deal. Pakistan, if they lose this one with one rained out, they are almost out of the competition. So over to you, Shomik.
Yeah, so as you said, it's pretty sunny now.
Yeah, go on.
Any problem with my audio?
No, it's clear. Go on.
Any problem with my okay? So the weather is pretty sunny, and the game when the game will be played, it would be moonlit. From the Pakistan camp, there is a conundrum whether or not to play Babar Azam. That is the biggest problem, whether or not to play Babar Azam. That Babar Azam trained hard yesterday. But then again, there is a school of thought that Khwaja Nafe should play, given that it's a fresh pitch, it's a good pitch. So everything combined,
There seems to be an internet issue at Shomik's end. He was saying that the problem is with Babar. Uh, you know, the Pakistan match will be almost a do or die for them. The Pakistan match, because if they lose this one, they're done. If the Pakistan game is washed out, then also they're done. So it is almost a knockout, much like India. As far as England is concerned, if they win this one, they are through, almost through. 4 points, they will be through. So it's another massive game, like Shomik was talking about. Yes, Shomik, over to you. You were talking about Babar Azam. Tell me.
yes, sorry, I mean some technical issues. I will continue from what I left up. Pakistan are facing the Babar Azam dilemma, whether or not to play him. Against New Zealand, at the pre-match press conference, when Mike Hassan, their head coach, was asked if Babar Azam is a good option, summarily rejected it, saying that no way could we play Babar Azam as an opener. He is good down the middle order because if you look at his power play record at the World Cup, it is below 100, and the hard numbers support the head coach. Babar Azam's power play record over across 4 World Cups is 86. Now, then again, Babar Azam is a big star in Pakistan, and one of the reasons why Babar Azam was picked was because of his reputation. And I mean, they sort of, there have been influence. It is not all not straightforward sometimes, especially in case of big players. Pakistan team selection is Pakistan is always not straightforward. On the face of it, they were saying that it was because of his experience, and that the pitches in Sri Lanka where pass score would be 170. We need someone to anchor at number 4. So those were the things that were being belted out. But scratch beneath the surface, it was that they didn't want to drop a big name player for the World Cup. That is the thing. But after the India game basically sort of broke the camel's back, and there was a change in approach. Babar Azam was padded up against Namibia. Pakistan played with a different tempo against Namibia, and Babar Azam didn't get a chance to bat. The last time around, the game against New Zealand, which was abandoned with a toss, Babar was in the team, but Fakar Zaman was also included. And very likely, unless Pakistan would have suffered early collapse, Babar wouldn't have batted in that game either. So that is one thing. Nobody is confirming whether Babar would be dropped or not. Once again, it's a big game. It's a tricky call. It's sort of at this moment in time, it is sort of 60-40 in Babar's favor. But if he is dropped for this game, I will not be surprised. But then again, it is still, I reiterate, it is 60-40. Another one, another change that might be ushered in, that one extra seamer for Pakistan in Colombo on slow pitches went spin heavy with 5 spinners. But here, I spoke to two former Pakistani greats off the record, and they were of the opinion that Pakistan should go with an extra seamer. In that case, a bowler of Naseem Shah's quality is warming the bench. They have Shaheen Shah Afridi also, who could be brought back. Let's see how uh, Mike Hasan, as I have said many times, he is a very data-driven coach. Let's see how what the team composition is like. In about an hour and a half, we will get to know.
Is it going to be Pakistani spin versus English batting, or England also has solid spin with Adil Rashid and some of the others. Plus that victory, use of Will Jacks. I thought Harry Brook was excellent with his captaincy. So Salman Ali Aga and the Pakistan think tank will have to match Harry Brook in captaincy also. Otherwise, Pakistan could be history. So your thoughts on Shomik's internet continues to be an issue. Uh, I think actually it could well be that the Pakistan spin versus English batting could decide Pakistan's fate. Will they be able to use their spinners well? The Usman Tariqs of the world, will they be able to use against the English top order? Will they be able to use them in the power play as well? So these are important questions ahead of the Pakistan game that we need to understand. But massive game, like we were saying, massive game. And Shomik was also kind of setting it up for Babar and some of the selection issues. If Pakistan gets through this one, then there will be a massive chance for Pakistan to qualify for the semi-finals, and the group will become wide open. So huge days coming up as far as this World Cup is concerned. Now, moving on, show a quick comment because I need to move on to India. I was asking you about Pakistan spin versus English batting. Is that something? And also a toss-up between the two captains, Harry Brook and Salman Aga.
Harry Brook and Salman Aga. See, Salman Aga is not that impressive as a captain. Harry Brook was excellent as a captain. The way he defended 146 and his bowling changes. People spoke about Phil Salt and the spinners, but Harry Brook, Pakistan could cause trouble if they play Abrar Ahmed. England has a traditional weakness against left leg spinner. Will they bring on Abrar Ahmed? We have to see. But once again, one thing about that goes in England's favor. England have 1 foot in the semi-final already, thanks to their net run rate boost against Sri Lanka, despite their three gun players, Josh Butler, Jacob Bethel, and Harry Brook himself, not firing yet. The day they will fire, this team has the potential to score 230.
So your take, England or Pakistan? If you were to put in that position, England or Pakistan? Is
See,
it the
conventional.
end of the World Cup tonight for Pakistan?
I don't know because I don't know which Pakistan team will turn up. If I mean, conventional wisdom suggests England, but Pakistan have always been very unpredictable. Let's see, but I will give England an edge.
Okay, Shomik, thank you very much for joining me. Watch the game and look forward to your report and your copies. Thank you very much, and enjoy the game between
Thank you.
Pakistan and England. Thank you. So that's
Thank you.
Shomik Chakraborty setting up the Pakistan versus England game from Sri Lanka. Massive game. Will Pakistan go out of the tournament this evening, or will they give themselves a lifeline? Will England knock them out? Will Harry Brook and company seal the semi-final berth, or will there be a new twist in the tail as far as Pakistan is concerned? Like I said, now the next few days up to the 1st of March will be incredibly interesting action. 26, the 3 p.m. game between West Indies and South Africa, as important and as interesting as the one between India and Zimbabwe. So massive few days coming up. Now, moving my focus back to the India contest, from what I know. Look, this is personal opinion, and then I will also give you the news points that I'm hearing. Three changes are being discussed. Eventually, maybe one change will happen or two, But three changes are being discussed at this point. People are mulling the team management, thoughts, discussions have been going on as far as three changes. India will need to be bold. India will, I mean, we've heard so much about fearless cricket, right? Yesterday, if anybody watched Shimron Hetmeyer against Sikandar Raza, that's when the match changed. Five sixes of six balls. Shimron Hetmeyer took out Sikandar Raza, 26 runs off that over, and the game was done. And then it, got the leg spinner Kramer for another couple of sixes, 19 ball 50 from Shimron Hetmeyer, and West Indies was well and truly on course. Now, a left-hander against the offie and Sikandar Raza. And did you watch the shots? He was going for it full throttle, and he was going towards the onside, towards the mid-wicket side, multiple times. He took out Sikandar Raza. Yes, there was a drop catch, not once, but twice. There was a drop catch. But Shimron Hetmeyer's approach to Sikandar Raza was fascinating. He really attacked and pushed Sikandar Raza back. And that's when mentally West Indies got the match done in their favor. Are the Indians watching? Have the Indians seen what was going on? This whole matchup between left-handers versus off-spinners, as if the off-spinner cannot be hit or cannot be played by the left-hander, as if the left-handers are walking wickets, is completely strange. It's not as if left-handers have not taken to off-spinners in the past. Even the best of Muralidharan was taken to the cleaners by somebody like a Brian Lara. So Shimron Hetmeyer yesterday demonstrated what you can absolutely do to a Sikandar Raza. And that's where India needs to take a leaf out of Sikandar Raza's, Shimron Hetmeyer's book. I thought West Indies was clinical. I thought Blessing Muzarabani and Richard Garba, they bowled decently up front. After that first wicket to fine leg, Shimron comes and changes gears, and that's when all of a sudden West Indies got that injection. Even at one point, Robman Powell was run a ball. He was when the DRS appeal was made. When the DRS appeal was made of that Sikandar Raza delivery, I think Robman Powell was 10 of 10 balls. That inside edge saved him. But thereafter, he too powered on and took the attack to Zimbabwe, got to an incredibly good 250. West Indies has shown that template. You can attack, you can absolutely dominate that game. You have to. And here's fearless cricket. What Shimron played, what Rovman played was fearless cricket. And you know what? The kind of innings that we have so far seen from India, whether it is the anchor type, whether it is holding on, that also tells you that you are kind of apprehensive about, except that Premadasa game where the pitch was not conducive for big hitting. Ishan played an out of the world blinder. India calibrated well, got to 175. But against Zimbabwe, you have to be fearless, and that doesn't mean over aggressive because that's fearful. It doesn't mean defensive because that's fearful. Balance and perspective will, according to me, decide India's campaign. I still think India will make the semi-final. I think South Africa will take out the West Indies in Ahmedabad. South Africa has experience of playing in Ahmedabad, 5 games in the last month or so. The bowling attack is delivering. Lungi Ngidi, the way he is using the slower ball. South Africa's fielding will not give West Indies that many chances, including multiple drops of Shimron Hetmeyer. That is a complete side. 3 p.m. game. So dew will not be a factor, clearly. So that will also come into play. South Africa is a better quality side. I understand West Indies spinners. I understand Gudakesh Moti, Akil Hussain. But South Africa, if you see someone like a Dewald Brevis, plays spin extremely well. Someone like a Tristan Stubbs plays spin extremely well. Plus the left-handers against Akil Hussain or a Gudakesh Moti. I think South Africa start as favorites against the West Indies, one of the most balanced teams in the competition. So from my standpoint, India should not bother too much about net run rate. India should not bother too much about the other games in the group. By the way, India will have a clear idea because the South Africa-West Indies game is ahead of India versus Zimbabwe. Having said that, you don't play to other teams' games. You don't play to those results. Just focus on the job at hand. Let things play out like the way it is going to happen. You play to your strengths. Don't overthink. Let things play out and we will see what transpires. I, for one, still think India will make the semi-final. Now coming to the changes. Three changes are being discussed. Eventually, I think two will happen. Eventually, two will happen. One, Akshar Patel is now 100% sure to come in. In whose place? Will Akshar Patel come in place of Washington Sundar, or will Akshar Patel come in place of Rinku Singh? That is the discussion that is going on in the Indian think tank. Akshar Patel for Washington Sundar or Akshar Patel for Rinku Singh? Now there are arguments both sides. Washington Sundar is going to play on his home turf at the Chepauk. Washington Sundar against Zimbabwe. There are left-handers as well. Washington Sundar can be handy as an off-spinner. Zimbabwe is not known to play spin really well. That is one option that India might mull, which is why Rinku Singh might be left out. So Rinku Singh, except that game against Pakistan, that little cameo, Rinku against spin has been a bit of a problem. Fielding has been exceptional, but in terms of contributions with the bat, there can be question marks raised. So the question there is, so Shubhayan joins me, he will give me more updates from Chennai. So that is one thing that is being mulled. Akshar Patel more or less sure to come in whose place? Let me cut across to him. The second change is the Sanju Samson one that is being discussed at the top of the order to counter Sikandar Raza. But Shimron Hetmar demonstrated that how a left-hander can also counter an off-spinner and take him to the cleaners. Shubhayan, what's going on in Chennai? From what I hear, two changes, and the Akshar Patel change is now certain. In whose place? Is it Rinku Singh or is it Washington Sundar? And what are you hearing on Sanju Samson?
The team will train here from 6 p.m. onwards. Boria, they have not yet arrived at the stadium, but yeah, two changes look very possible here in Chennai. It has been a high-scoring venue. Even teams like Canada have scored 170, 180 here against bigger teams like New Zealand. So this venue has produced runs this time around, and as you mentioned, there is no written rule in cricket that a left arm batter cannot take on a right arm off spinner, or a left arm off spinner can't be taken down by a right-handed batter. It's just about applicability out there, and being very shrewd with your tactics on which areas or which shots you want to play against those particular matchups. Having said that, India have found themselves in a bit of a huddle right now. In bit of a hurdle, they are facing this. We have been talking about it from a very long time. Six left-handers in the top eight. Whether there's a monotony in the batting unit, although the team management was not ready to accept this before the last game, but after the last game in the post-match press conference, we saw Rant and Deshkate being very candid about there being an issue with the monotony of left-handedness, and that brings us to Sanju Samson. Yes, he did not do well in the bilateral series against South Africa, but the one match he played in this World Cup, he scored at 8 ball 28. And if other batters are also contributing with those slight impacts, then I don't have any issues. What we are having an issue, or Indian team is having an issue, is the number of dot balls that they are playing post the power play. That is where the issue lies. And singles and doubles, we keep on reminding people about Virat Kohli, how he used to negate trickier pitches. I am not saying these are tough pitches or challenging pitches to bat on. They are trickier wickets, and we have seen that template applied by someone like a Virat Kohli, who used to take singles and twos and negotiate that tough phases. But here the batters are playing dot balls, and that is putting pressure on the non-striker. Putting pressure on the batters that are to follow, and that is where Tilak Verma's place in the playing 11 is coming under question. Whether they can go back to the same template with Sanju and Abhishek opening, Ishan playing at 3, and then Surya Kumar Yadav can come at 4. That was the template before they started to open with Ishan and Abhishek and dropped Sanju Samson out of the 11. So, and of course, Akshar Patel has to be there. You cannot drop your MVP. That was a blunder of a decision in such an important match, and that match has somewhat, that result has put us in a position where we are right now, with Indian team now hoping that South Africa defeat West Indies and we go on to win both our matches in the Super 8 stage. So it's not the ideal situation for the Indian team, Boriada.
So, do you, in a situation like this, you will see the South Africa West Indies game at 3 p.m. You will know what you need to do. If South Africa doesn't win, then obviously the humongous net run rate issue becomes relevant. Having said that, on current form in terms of in terms of weightage, sheer weightage of the South African team, the number of times they've played in Ahmedabad, you would tend to think that South Africa is the favorites against the West Indies. So, do you play to net run rate? Do you keep that in mind that, oh, you know what, let's still play to net run rate, or do you just focus on, okay, let's not focus on all of that, let's focus on winning and net run rate? Because if you too much focus on net run rate and stuff like that, we got to get to 200 plus 225, etc., then you can make a blunder. And secondly, the Chepauk wicket, from what I have heard from the TNCA management and people there, again, it's a fresh wicket. It's a fresh wicket which has not been used in the last 4 or 5 months. So this is going to be relatively good for batting, not slowish wicket that will help the Zimbabwe spinners. Your thoughts?
I think Boria, one match has been played here in the World Cup. Yes, the Chepauk Stadium has not been used that frequently in the last 4 5 months. But New Zealand versus
No, no,
Afghanistan match was,
no. Matches have happened. Matches have happened.
yeah,
So Canada got that Yuvraj Samra got 100.
right.
Zimbabwe, sorry, New Zealand versus Afghanistan has also happened again, which was a big scoring game. 175 was chased down in 17 overs. So Chepauk has produced proper runs, 200,
Yes.
200, that kind of scores. But the pitch that will be used, I am told, is again a fresh pitch. So
Okay.
overall, it should be decent for batting, is what I've heard. Your thoughts?
What the discussion going inside is that New Zealand versus Afghanistan was played in the same strip, 185-ish kind of a score was scored by Afghanistan, and New Zealand chased it down in 17.2 or 17.3 over. So it's relatively high scoring pitches in the IPL as well last season. If you remember, Stephen Fleming came in one of the press conferences and said, "We have not decoded what kind of pitch is being produced this year because the spinners were not coming into the game that much." But having said that, Boryada, yes, it is an advantage for us that we will get to know the result of South Africa versus West Indies game. But again, net run rate, I don't think that will matter a lot. If West Indies win the game against South Africa, we cannot chase that net run rate of +5 or +4. That is going to be impossible for us because we would be needing victory margins of 150, 160 runs, which is nearly impossible in T20 cricket. Or if West Indies post a total of 200 or Zimbabwe post a total of 150, we need to chase that in 10 overs. So that is practically impossible here. So net run rate won't matter. Now we can only hope and pray that South Africa defeat West Indies. And after knowing that result, if that result falls in our place, then what we'll have to do, we'll have to simply win those two games, one against Zimbabwe, one against West Indies. We cannot lose any further game if South Africa help us. That is what it is. And Boryada, it is such a ironical situation right now because the broadcasters, everyone were mocking the South African people before the start of the India South Africa match with the advertisement and the kind of content that we have seen on social media right now or on our TV screens right now. And now what we have to do, we have to pray and hope that that same South African team will help us in defeating West Indies. That's the beauty of sport. Never take any opposition for granted. Never mock any opposition. How big or how small they are, it does not matter. So South Africa, West Indies, it is going to be a cracker of a game. Both the teams have played so good, so much of high quality cricket. We are seeing what West Indies can do. They have some three top class spinners in their armory. They have good pacers also, and their batting unit. We know what on their day they can make a mockery of any bowling unit in the world. So that South Africa West Indies match, all eyes will be on that. If results fall in our place, what we have to do, we'll have to win both our remaining matches. So net run rate and anything, I don't think that will matter a lot unless and until there is complete harakiri with South Africa, Zimbabwe defeating South Africa, South Africa defeating West Indies. Unless that sort of results happen, net run rate won't come into play, in my opinion.
Final question for you. Are you seeing India punt with Kuldeep Yadav, or is he out of the discussion? I mean, because Zimbabwe, how much have yesterday also, if you see the way the left arm spinners bowled, Gudakesh Moti for Akil Hossain had impact. If you see the way West Indian spinners controlled the tempo on a very good batting deck, do you see Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti both being used? Obviously, Akshar Patel as well, or do you see no Kuldeep Yadav not in the scheme of things at this point?
Boryada, Kuldeep Yadav was initially part of our playing 11 before we moved to Arshdeep Singh in place of Kuldeep Yadav, and that was because of the dew factor that the bilateral matches were producing. Here in Chennai, with the humidity around, there is going to be some sort of dew, and here you don't have that anti-spray machine. Yes, the ground staff will do their best to negate that dew factor, but you cannot run away from dew. There will be considerable amount of dew here in Chennai. So Kuldeep Yadav, I think that is an unlikely replacement. I don't think the team management will move out three or four players from the playing 11 and completely change the look of the lineup that we are seeing so far in the World Cup. The possibilities of two changes that what we talked about earlier is the most likely decision with Washington Sundar maintaining his place, Akshar Patel coming in place of Rinku Singh, and of course Tilak Verma getting replaced by Sanju Samson, and that will allow you to have three quality spinners in your system. If the pitch grips a bit, it's a black soil wicket. So if the pitch grips a bit, then you will have that assistance from all your three spinners. You have the option of Abhishek Sharma and Tilak Verma. Abhishek Sharma for sure in your arsenal, and of course you have the bowlers who can bowl cutters and use the black soil wickets as the South African used against us. We have to be clever. Ravichandran Ashwin, I think, made a brilliant video on his YouTube channel decoding where Hardik Pandya's last over went wrong. What wrong did he bowl with his lengths and lines and allow Tristan Stubbs to capitalize on it? I think Indian bowlers need to be more locked in, more focused. Not only bowlers, but each and every member of that squad need to be locked in because we cannot have a single minute of lapse in concentration in our further matches. So this is time to produce what we have been producing in bilateral series throughout this Surya and Gambhir duos power in charge. So this is the time that we know you bring the same confidence and same tactical astuteness into the play right now because we can't have a single lapse of concentration going forward.
I agree because India wasn't smart. Two misfields from Surya. He was in that pitch area, misfields. Washington Sundar darting down to try and take that catch, conceded that boundary. That you just need to be smart. Two no balls, which produced four singles. So two there plus the two singles and the two sixes of the free hit. So you're actually talking about a 25 to 30 run bouquet that was handed over to South Africa. Miller two sixes plus the two singles 16 and the three misfields conceded 12 more. You're talking about that many runs to the 187. So Shubhan is spot on. India has to be smart. India has to be disciplined. Like we said, balance. You cannot be over aggressive and overthink like they did with the Akshar Patel call. Zimbabwe, West Indies, ultimately, this is still a simple game. You cannot overthink and complicate matters. It's still a game that you won many, many matches. Just keep your feet on the ground, stay rooted, stay humble, stay smart. I still think
Take it
India
as
will be.
bilateral cricket. Take it as bilateral cricket. In bilateral
No,
at
no,
home,
no.
Zimbabwe, West Indies, we will 9 out of 10 times we'll defeat them. So take it as a bilateral game, and you will come across as winners here. Unless and until South Africa say we are going to lose against West Indies.
No, that's not happening. I mean, such things don't happen in international cricket. And by the way, if South Africa lose badly, then that 76 run cushion is not there anymore. And India will play West Indies in Calcutta last after South Africa plays. So it's not as if South Africa will be safe if they lose badly
But
to the
they
West
play
Indies.
Zimbabwe. They play Zimbabwe. That will become a virtual quarterfinal for them.
Yeah, but that match is ahead of India West Indies.
Yes.
So given that match is ahead of India West Indies, India will know what to do at the Eden Gardens because they play last. So I don't think there will be any let off from any of the teams here in terms of intensity. We'll see what happens. Shubhan, thank you very much for joining me. By the way, Shubhan will be at India practice between 6 and 9 p.m. and will give us all the updates. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
So there you go. Shubhain Chakraborty reporting about the Indian think tank, what's happening in Chennai. Gargi Raut will join me soon to give her perspective. All our three reporters are in Chennai. Loads of questions as well. Let me quickly take some before Gargi joins me for the last 10 to 15 minutes on the show. West Indies at flat Eden wicket will be dangerous. Shayantan Shengupto. I think Eden wicket wasn't really flat. Sri Lanka produced a decent amount of runs there. And Gargi joins me as well. Bat first, ball first. Okay, let me quickly go to her. I think you're in a tuk-tuk, is it?
I will. Everyone's going to take the Mickey out of me for this, but I left from the hotel on time, and this entire time I was thinking my acrid is in my bag, but I had put it in a safe place, and I forgot that it was in a safe place. So I had to turn it around halfway, get it, and then come back around. And now I'm stuck in traffic. So I'm just around Chennai, and getting to Chepauk. I will reach there in the next 5 minutes. But I thought I'd join the show and show you local Chennai here.
Yeah, that's fine. And you've got time. India is practicing from 6 p.m. There is no press conference. So you should be fine in terms of reaching on time. But tell me, Shubhan was on the show just about some time back, and he was saying that net run rate isn't going to be a factor. West Indies, South Africa could be the decider. I still think South Africa will beat West Indies. Do you reckon India should think about the net run rate at all, or just focus on what they can control the controllables, go out there and win the two games?
I think when it comes to World Cup tournaments, the number one philosophy should be that you want to win every single match by a good margin. And that's just not the kind of cricket that we've seen from the Indian batters. You know, the Indian batters in the past 4 games have gone out there and considerably slowed down the tempo in the middle overs. You saw that happening last match as well. And you know, I was keeping an eye on the stats and the required run rate. By the time Surya Kumar Yadav and Washington Sundar were batting, at that point the required run rate was 12.5 and India was batting at 5.5. And main gate. And by that time, the required run rate started going up so fast. And there was just too much pressure on the lower order. And we had been saying this, right, that this anchoring will not always work. What if the lower order does not fire in the last 5 overs? And at that point, when you're chasing, there's just too much pressure, and not every day will there be a rescue act from a Hardik Pandya or a Shivam Dubey.
I was asking Shubhan the same question. I'll ask you this. Do you reckon 2 changes? Akshar Patel is now a sure shot. Is it for Washington Sundar or is it for Rinku Singh? That's what I am hearing from within the Indian camp, that the discussion is Rinku Singh might get dropped off and Washington Sundar stays on at the Chepauk, which is his home ground. So they will want to persist with Washington Sundar on home turf. That's what one thought is. And the second is it now almost done that Ishan Kishan will drop to number 3? Sanju Samson will open with Abhishek Sharma and Ishan at 3, Tilak Verma sits out. Is that what you're hearing?
You know what? I still think that it's a better option if you let Ishan Kishan bat where he is, because he's been doing really well at the top. Last game, you did not see him do too well, but we've seen some good performances with him. It's a position that he's good at. I think you should keep Ishan Kishan at the top with Abhishek Sharma. I do not see from the conversations that I've had that Abhishek Sharma will be dropped anytime soon. I think it's going to be a Tilak Verma and Sanju Samson swap at number 3, which makes more sense because you saw that South Africa really...
But Gargi, 1 second. If you swap, which is correct, I mean, Sanju will come in for Tilak. That's a given now. Or that's what is being mulled over now. Having said that, every opponent is attacking you with offis. So a Sikandar Raza or a Austin Chase. So if you allow the 2 left-handers, it's the same strategy. Why not upset that apple cart with Sanju Samson at the top taking strike, push Tilak Ishan Kishan to 3, and Abhishek obviously opens. Yesterday, Shimron Hetmyer demonstrated how a left-hander can take out an off-spinner. 26 runs of that Sikandar Raza over if the Indians watched. Thoughts?
I think that's a very good strategy if India will employ that. But deploy that. At the same time, I don't think there will be that much of changes when it comes to the batting position. Remember, we have heard from the management multiple times that the openers are the only players who will not be messed with. Their positions will not be changed. Going by those things that the management has said so far, I think Sanju Samson comes in at 3 in place of Tilak Verma. I know the left-hander problem will still stand. What can be done is maybe a Surya Kumar Yadav comes in at 3 and Sanju Samson can come in at 4. If the Abhishek Sharma not firing thing continues and India is losing too many wickets in the power play, that is a strategy that can work very well. At the same time, I think Washington Sundar might go out, could very well be Rinku Singh as well. But looking at how well Rinku Singh is doing on the field, the kind of catches that he's taking, the amount of boundaries that he's saving, you know, it almost makes you say how many Rinku Singhs are on the field, because he runs so fast, he's so agile, and fielding hasn't been the best domain for India for a long time now. So with that perspective, I still think Rinku stays, and it's Sanju Samson for Tilak Verma, Akshar Patel for Washington Sundar.
Final question before I let you go. If you actually deep dive into the South Africa game, and I mentioned this to Shubhan as well, you will see 25 to 30 runs were gifted away. Two no balls, which considered four. Two singles plus the two no balls, 4 runs. And both those free hits resulted in sixes. One over long on, one over point by David Miller. Two sixes. So 12 runs plus four, 16 gone there. Surya Kumar Yadav, two misfields. And Washington Sundar darting down to try to take that catch, went for a boundary. So you're talking 12. 16 plus 12, 28 runs conceded by India, which were gifts. For me, the Zimbabwe game and the West Indies game, India has to be absolutely tuned on the field, not one blunder in terms of not being smart. I think balance and perspective could decide India's fate. Thoughts?
When we talk about the fielding part, there was an off the record conversation that I had with someone in the management, and they basically said that at the end of the day, you can do all the drills that are possible in the practice session. You can mix up as many drills and exercises as possible, but at the end of the day, it is the players who will have to go out there and get those catches and turn those moments into breakthroughs, which is something that India has struggled with. And India, Narendra Modi Stadium as well, the lights. And this was a conversation, later I had this conversation with T. Dilip. He was giving Kuldeep Yadav at that point a special session, and he was teaching him some things. And there was a catch that went up, and for a second it completely disappeared because of the lights. And we all sort of turned to T. Dilip and said, oh my God, it's really difficult to take those catches because the ball disappears for twice, while going up and then while coming down, and it's very difficult to judge. And he was agreeing with it, and he said it's not easy. It's much like the Dubai Ring of Fire, and which is why you're seeing maybe some catches being dropped. But at the same time, when we talk about T. Dilip, and there are some questions being raised about him in the setup, but it's not on T. Dilip. It's on the players to go out there and take those catches. But India has been not the best on the field, and T20 games are defined by the amount of boundaries you save, are defined by the amount of catches you take. So it's very important that India gets those things right.
Finally, Prakash, can you give me the photograph, please? There you go. Kuldeep Yadav watching the pitch intently as the Indian team has reached the checkpoint. Prakash, is my internet acting up? Okay, no. I think it's got. Can Prakash give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me, folks? Yeah, that's the photograph. Look at that photograph. That's the Indian think tank, Mone Mokal, Gautam Gambhir. They are already there. They're already there. The Indian team will be practicing from 6 to 9 p.m. There is no press conference today. So India practices under lights today, 6 to 9. Zimbabwe practices under lights today, 6 to 9. India will practice 2 to 5 p.m. Will absolutely be optional practice tomorrow. That one can say from now. So massive 2 days. I will take some questions now. Show me the Kuldeep Yadav photograph once more, Prakash. Show me the Kuldeep Yadav photograph and show me the pitch. By the way, is the Kuldeep Yadav photograph, and show me the pitch. That's the wicket. That's the wicket that will be used. Shubhan, just click that photograph, and Gargi is back. She's reached the ground. Gargi, quick thoughts before you go in. What is it like? I mean, set it up for me. India practicing under lights, India practicing tomorrow. Are you feeling kind of tension? Have you seen the team? What's it like? Final comments.
I think I am feeling the tension. And once I go inside, I will get a better feel of how the mood is within the team. But at the same time, even the last match, before the last match, you could sense that there is some tension in the air, that there are some that there are some concerns within the team, and you could see, Tilak Verma going out there, practicing in the private nets and all of that, working on some things away from the prying eyes. So that those things signal something, right? And Sanju Samson, there was this weird moment where Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson had started the net session, and Abhishek Sharma was bowling in the nets, in the other nets. For the longest time, he was the last person to go in the nets. And while Ishan Kishan was batting, he was taking the strike for a very, very long time. And Sanju was, I don't know if he was frustrated, but he kind of went off and sat on the cooler for 10-15 minutes because he wasn't able to go into the nets. And there was another moment where Sanju Samson was batting alone before the net started. And you usually see that when batters are going out there and having a special session, you see some or the other staff going there, watching, giving advice. But when Sanju Samson was doing it, there was no staff around. None at all. It was just the thrower and Sanju Samson. When it comes to the conditions, we are expecting a 200 sort of game. This is a relayed pitch. This is more of a batting wicket than what we traditionally see at Chepauk. So it's going to be a good contest. But it all comes down to how India pace their innings, which is something they have struggled with throughout the tournament.
I'll let you go in. India practices between 6 and 9. Gargi Rao, Shubhan and Rohit will report from India's practice with all the nuances and all the details. Thank you for joining me. Let me take some questions. Blue Mountain, what is my experience saying? I think India will qualify. I think India will qualify. It is about pressure. It is about West Indies will also feel the pressure. It's not as if just India will feel the pressure. West Indies will also know now these are the two big games in the Super 8. India, they will know that if they lose to South Africa, they will have to face India in the final game. That also is pressure. I think South Africa will win against the West Indies and India will qualify by winning the two games. That's what my hunch is. Will Gautam Gambhir continue? Abhishek Kumar. The question to ask Gautam Gambhir continue is not now. The question can be asked some 5 days later. So we can keep this nonsense till 5 days later. Let us hold our horses. India is not out of the tournament yet. Will Gautam Gambhir do? Will there be something? This counter history questions are not relevant. It will be a crime if we drop Rinku Singh, says, who's this? Venki somebody, right? What was the question? Venki Vasu. Crime if we not drop Rinku Singh, we need a finisher? Not really. Rinku Singh hasn't done much with the bat. Now, you might absolutely argue that he's coming in too late. He was sent in at number 8. Having said that, Rinku Singh has a problem with spin, and that is known. He is very comfortable against the pace of Shaheen Afridi and that kind of medium pace. But against spin, he has not been the best. So I don't think it'll be a travesty if we drop Rinku Singh. Having said that, his fielding and his catching has been absolutely outstanding. So one has to keep that in mind. I do think India will go in with 2 changes. I think this Rinku Washington will be 1 change, and I think Tilak will be the 2nd change. Will India punt with Kuldeep Yadav? That's a 3rd change that is likely to be discussed. Could not eventually happen, but these are the changes and the discussions that are going on. Let me quickly take some more questions. Do you think Sanju will open with Abhishek? Yes, that's exactly what I think. Who's this? Shashwat Singh. I think exactly that. They will give Sanju first strike against the offie if Sikandar Raza comes into bowl. So they will try to negate that kind of strategy with the right-hander at the top. And Sanju Samson should be able to belt on a good Chepauk wicket. No reason. Crystal Days, South Africa, Zimbabwe after India game, not before India, West Indies. No. I think India, West Indies is at 7 p.m. on the Sunday, and South Africa, West Indies, South Africa, Zimbabwe is at 3 p.m. So India will know what's going on, and Calcutta is the evening game at 7 p.m. So Crystal Days, I think you've got it slightly wrong there. What happens if Zimbabwe beats South Africa? Whole thing becomes very interesting. That's why I am continuously saying true wicket. Just play to your strengths. Control the controllables. Go and win the 2 games properly. Go and win the 2 games with your best foot forward, and then we will see what happens. You cannot play to a net run rate. You cannot play to what happens Zimbabwe, South Africa, West Indies, so and so. Just play to your strengths. Go and win the 2 games as knockouts. You need to play the World Cup as 4 knockout games. If you make the semi-final, if you don't make the semi-final, 2 knockout games, then we will see what happens. So go play the World Cup as a knockout competition. That's what India needs to do. You cannot undo Ahmedabad. However much you abuse Gautam on Surya or X or Y, you cannot undo Ahmedabad. It's a done deal. Ahmedabad, net run rate, 76 run loss, all that is now given. You can't undo that. So what you need to do is move on. Move on and put your best foot forward and win the next two games and win big. I'm afraid whatever India down in the GG era, unable to come back. No, not really. Not really. I don't think that's the case at all. In the white ball format in Australia, India did very very well. You're talking more about red ball. Red ball and white ball are two different. India has not hardly been down in the white ball under Gautam. They've had a very very good track record in white ball cricket. I don't think that's an issue. What you are talking about is red ball cricket, and red ball cricket is a problem. Make no mistake. But white ball, I don't think that's fair. On that note, it's time for me to end the show here. But I'll tell you this: India practicing between 6 and 9 p.m. Three of my reporters there. You will get all the updates. This is the practice session. This is the one which will give you detailed updates as to what can happen, because tomorrow will be an optional session ahead of the game day after. We will get back. And by the way, in the Pro League, India versus Spain, India losing in the shootout, but again, it was 1-1. Much better effort in the last two games. Australia 2-2, Spain 1-1, losing the shootouts, but you get another point. So after losing those 5 games, two decent performances from India, a draw against Australia regulation time, a draw against Spain regulation time. So gradually, you might say that Craig Fulton is starting to get it right again. We will focus on all sport. Women, Trisha and Snehashish did the show. We will keep an eye on that. The Women's World Cup seedings and the groups and dates and matches have all been announced. India play Pakistan on the 14th of June in Birmingham. India will go in as the 50-over World Cup winner, and recent performances in Australia have indeed raised a lot of hope. So we will keep an eye on that as well. On that note, thank you very much for watching.